Welcome to Studio D on the campus of the University of Oklahoma. This is Sooner Sports Pad. Now here's your host, Courtney Boggs.
Wow, time sure does fly when you're having fun. That's right. This is Sooner Sports Pad, and it is our last episode of this season. I'm your host, Courtney Boggs, alongside my very loyal and friendly analysts, Blakely and Carson Williams. We also have a pretty loud studio audience with us tonight. We have a pretty good show set up for you with a lot of great things coming ahead.
That's right. I'm excited for it. Last one, best one.
Absolutely. This has gone by so fast. Can't even believe it's the last one.
I know. We also have a very special guest in studio. Women's basketball coach Sherri Coale joins us. We will get to talk to her later on in the show.
That's right. And later on in Face-Off, Carson and I will discuss which OU team is better, last year or this year.
And women's basketball star Kim Mulkey sees the court unlike most others. Blakely will give you a look into what life is like for her.
Well, if you're dreaming of waking up to snow on Thanksgiving morning in Oklahoma, probably not likely, but for all you winter lovers out there, you got to see plenty of snow on Saturday during OU's game against West Virginia in Morgantown. Obviously, the Sooners aren't so used to playing in snowy and cold conditions, but they seem to fare the weather well as they beat the Mountaineers 56-28. Samaje Perine scored early in the first quarter, but what really set the tempo for the Sooners offense was Dede Westbrook's 75-yard touchdown from Baker Mayfield. Look at that. Run away from my responsibilities light. Yep, that's right. OU went on to score 3 more times before halftime. The momentum, unfortunately, did not really swing in the Sooners' favor after the half with some defensive mistakes, allowing West Virginia to bring the game back within 13 points. But then OU's ever so dynamic offense kicked it into turbo gear and closed the game out strong, sealing the win over WVU. The Sooners had 485 total yards of offense, more than 100 yards over West Virginia's average amount of yards allowed per game going into Saturday. OU has won its 11 last true road games and 22 of its last 24, the longest streak of Bob Stoops' career. The Sooners will play against Oklahoma State in 2 weeks, ultimately for the Big 12 title. This will be the first time OU has ever played for the conference title in Norman. And OU's win in Morgantown was a huge one for the Sooners. Guys, who do you think really stepped up and earned the role of the MVP for you for this week?
Well, with such an offensive domination, it was tough to just choose one guy, but I haven't chosen Samaje Perine all year, and I definitely think he deserves to be MVP this week. Perine ran for 160 yards and 2 touchdowns in very heavy snow, I might add, and he has historically been good in Morgantown. 2 years ago, he had a monster game there. He had 31 rushes this game. With that crazy weather, him and Joe Mixon took the bulk of the offensive possessions, carrying the ball a combined 55 times. Perine ran hard and did the dirty work to keep those drives going. The weather conditions really could have caused some problems for the run game for OU. Slippery ball, things like that. West Virginia even had a few fumbles themselves, but Perine and Mixon as well did a great job of taking care of the ball, and a job well done to Samaje Perine.
Yeah, he had a great game Saturday, but I'll tell you what, it wouldn't have been possible without the offensive line.
That's true.
Because of the snow, the running the ball was a priority, and the offensive line did an excellent job. The Sooners had 316 rushing yards, the most given up by West Virginia this entire year. They have a great defense, so that was impressive for the Sooners. All that came on 64 carries, the second most in the Bob Stoops era, and it was also the first time Oklahoma has recorded multiple 100-yard rushers and a 100-yard receiver since the 2008 Big 12 title game against Missouri. All 3 reached that mark in the first half, so a great day for the Sooners.
Yes, it was.
And as Carson and Blakely just mentioned, OU's offense was a dominant factor in their win against West Virginia on Saturday. Carson actually got to meet up with wide receiver Geno Lewis earlier today to talk about what it meant to win on the road in such conditions. Take a look.
It was awesome, going back up towards the East Coast. It was cold, snow. I know a lot of these guys out here haven't played in games like that, but it was an awesome game, and the results, we were very happy with them.
Bye week this week. What are you guys really going to try to focus on during practice this week?
You know, we're going to keep practicing like we've been the last couple weeks. You know, going out there, being physical, working hard, working on the little details, the things that we need to get right, and, you know, keep competing.
And then you guys have, you know, Bedlam in 2 weeks for the, you know, Big 12 title on your home field. What does that say about this team after the, you know, kind of shaky 1 and 2 start?
It just shows how we can play through adversity. You know, we had, like you said, we had those, you know, first couple of games where, you know, it was a little shaky and bumps and bruises, but, you know, we made it through that, and now we put ourselves in a position to win the Big 12.
And then finally, you guys have a lot of, you know, playoff chatter, you know, kind of surrounding this team. How do you really block that out?
Just focus on the game that's ahead. It's a one-game season every weekend, and, you know, our focus is on Bedlam and Oklahoma State, and that's where we're going to stay.
All right, thanks, Gino.
Yeah, no problem.
And another fan favorite here at OU has started their season. That's right, I'm talking about basketball. Guys, men's and women's basketball started their seasons. They were in action over the weekend. Go ahead and give us an update on how their seasons have started for them.
Well, the OU men's basketball team was in action over the weekend at the Tire Pros Invitational in Orlando. Not a bad place to be, by the way.
Right.
The Sooners cruised to a 19-point victory against Tulane on Thursday, but fell to Northern Iowa in overtime on Friday. Lon Kruger's squad bounced back yesterday with a win against Clemson to claim third place in the tournament. Senior point guard Jordan Woodard was named to the all-tournament team. So good tournament for Jordan.
All right, awesome. Well, the 16th ranked women's basketball team stayed undefeated on Friday night in a thrilling win against BYU. Peyton Little led the team with 16 points on the game, 9 of which came in that fourth quarter. The Sooners actually were down 7 entering that fourth quarter and were able to rally back, outscoring BYU 21-7. An overall great team effort. Maddie Manning had 11 points on the night. Both Vivi, Pierre-Louise, and Joya Carter added 9. And the Sooners also scored their season high number in threes, hitting 7 on the night. I know. They are back in Norman on Wednesday night, just before Thanksgiving, to take on South Dakota State at 7 p.m.
Coming up next, Carson and Blakely will share their favorite moment from Sooner Sports Pad this season. But first, we must take a break. Face Off is up next. And welcome back to the pad. It is Face Off time. Carson Blakely, are you ready for your last Face Off throwdown of the season?
I'm ready.
Let's get it going.
I'm ready to win.
All right, first question. Which OU team is better? This year's OU football team or last year's OU football team?
I know, this is tough, honestly, because of course last year we made the college football playoffs, but I mean this year we're still in the discussion for that. I think both teams are really similar, but for me, this Sooner offense is one of a kind. They have exploded in conference play. They're averaging 45.3 points per game. And D.D. Westbrook has proved himself to be one of the best wide receivers in the country. Joe Mixon and Small J.P. Ryan continue to get better, and they're evolving into one of the best dual back systems in the country as well. So the Sooners are averaging 228 rush yards per game. That's just crazy. And Baker Mayfield is also averaging a 71% passing completion rate, also one of the best in the country. I go on and on, but with D.D. Westbrook and Baker Mayfield pushing themselves into that Heisman discussion, I think this is really one of the best offenses the Sooners have ever had.
I agree with that.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's one of the best offenses in the country, if not the best. But don't get me wrong, this year's Oklahoma team is on an impressive run, winners of 8 straight. But last year's squad just had something magical. You know, that Sooner magic everybody talks about. This last year's team, with the impressive win in Knoxville in double overtime, then the way they closed out the final 3 games against TCU, Baylor, and OSU, 2 of those on the road at Baylor and in Stillwater. OU made it to the playoff like you said last year, and while that certainly still can happen this year, a lot of things have to happen, a lot of dominoes have to fall in their direction, and that's something that OU can't control. But last year, what they were able to control, they got put in the playoff. At this point last year, they were in the playoff, and so I think because of that, I'm going to go with last year's team was better. But this year's team is still very good. I think.
Both so good.
I know.
I'm here with our fearless leader, Barry Orr, and he has a question for Carson and Blakely.
Okay. So who is going to be in the college football playoff, and if OU is not, where will they wind up?
Well, Barry, this is also tough too because so many things are up in the air right now with that college football playoff. Ohio State and Michigan have a big game this weekend, so whoever wins that is probably going to take one of those spots as well, I think. So if Ohio State were to lose, I'd see them out and Michigan in. Alabama, I think, is a given. Clemson, I think another given. So really that third spot, Ohio State or Michigan. And then if OU were to get in, I think they'd grab that fourth spot. So those are their best odds right now. But really for me, like, the key has to be winning out the Big 12 and getting that Big 12 title and beating OSU, and then we're just going to have to let the chips fall where they may and see what happens. Yeah,
that's all they can control is one game at a time. I'm going to go Alabama 1, Clemson 2, Ohio State 3, and then Wisconsin 4. I've got two teams from the Big 10. So here we go. Alabama wins the SEC, locks up number 1. Clemson wins the ACC, locks up another playoff spot. The Ohio State beats Michigan this weekend. Michigan's without their starting quarterback. But they don't play in the Big 10 title game because Penn State would also have the same record, but they have that win against Ohio State that would put them in the title game. Wisconsin wins the Big 10 title game. The committee puts them in, and the committee values Ohio State's big wins against Michigan, Oklahoma, Wisconsin, Nebraska over that loss to Penn State on the road, which is now a good loss, and their strength of schedule. But I do think OU will still end up in a New Year's Six Bowl. I think that they will probably play Florida in the Sugar Bowl down in New Orleans, where they've had great success.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, that wouldn't be bad either. So we'll just have to wait and see.
And instead of viral videos today, we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to have the analysts share their favorite moment from this season of Sooner Sports Pad. Guys, what did you pick?
I'm going to feel so bad doing this. Carson, you know I love you, but honestly, I have to say my favorite moment of Sports Pad is when pretty much no one voted for you on Face Off, and everyone voted for me. I sound so mean, but honestly, it was just funny.
That's harsh.
I'm sorry. I really am.
Okay, audience, cheer the loudest for who you think won and use your little faces. Okay? Give it up if you think it was Carson.
Ooh, I think somebody's going to lose this week.
Hey, 2 and 1's better than 1 and 2.
Give it up if you think it was Blakely.
Yes! Get your first win.
Honestly, I was coming off an 0-2 record, so getting that win was so exciting for me. It's got to be one of the best moments. You know I love you, though.
Yeah,
you know I love you.
All right, well, sure it is. My favorite moment was not that by far, but my favorite moment was getting to talk with Joe Castiglione, the first show. Just a great way to open up the season. He was such a nice guy to come in and just talk with us, and a guy who is just has done so much good stuff for the university.
Yes.
All that stuff, and then the student athletes really getting it done in the classroom.
Well, it's just that. I think the student athletes themselves who have committed, to try and reach the top in everything they do, whether it's academics, athletics, the way they engage with students and the rest of the campus community, how they help our community in charitable activities and represent us all across America. That says it all, and you can do it. Balancing that is quite special.
The pieces he's put around this university, from Bob Stoops to our guest Sherri Coale, Lon Kruger, across.
Yes.
And it was obvious. It was obvious last year with probably OU's best athletic year of all time.
Right.
He's done an amazing job, and it was great that he came by.
Yours was so nice. Mine was so mean.
Yeah, that was so rude.
All right, well, I know normally I don't really have any say-so in face-off. I don't get to participate. But today that changes. I have my own favorite moment when Jordan Evans pretty much dropped the mic and walked off the set. Take a look. All right, last question. You finally get a day off. What do you do for fun? A, play video games.
I don't even need no choices.
Oh, you don't?
Sleep.
Drop the mic! Drop the mic! So, naturally, since my favorite moment didn't get picked, I win face-off today. I win face-off today!
Getting the first win on the last show.
Win face-off! What is this? Plot twist, everybody.
Hey, at least now we all have wins.
That's true. We're all winners on Sports Pad.
Absolutely.
All right, it's now time for another break. When we come back, Blakely will give us a look at what it's like for a day in the life with freshman Nancy Mulkey. We'll be right back.
Special thanks to our cornerstone television partners, Chesapeake Energy, Riverwind Resort, Anheuser-Busch, OU Outreach, and OU Medicine.
Welcome back. Nancy Mulkey was a standout recruit coming out of high school, and now she's a standout freshman at the University of Oklahoma. Our own Blakely Durham gives us a look at what life is like for OU women's basketball's Nancy Mulkey. Take a look.
Coming in at 6 feet 9 inches, Nancy Mulkey is the tallest signee in OU women's basketball history.
I was always asked if I played basketball because I am so tall, but I mean, just because you're tall doesn't mean you have to play basketball. I've always wanted to play on my own.
And her specialty on the court?
My favorite thing to do on the basketball court is block shots. I love blocking shots. I don't know, it just obviously gives me confidence, and then the team is my blocks give them energy, and it just feeds off of that, and it's just great to see that.
I think the opponents know before they even get down there that it's probably going to get blocked, so we just kind of see it coming from the bench.
Nancy sees her strength as a player on the defensive side of the ball, and her teammates agree.
She's a game changer. Anytime you have somebody 6'9", 6'10" standing in the lane in women's basketball, you know that's going to change the game. But just when she's aggressive on defense, and when she's aggressive in the lane on defense, there's nobody that can get in there and do anything.
My defense is probably the best attribute, so blocking shots, altering the opponent's shots, and then getting rebounds.
And defense is definitely her strong suit. Nancy scored her first points as a Sooner off a block shot and fast break layup in their first game of the season.
Her getting those points like that, I think it showed the crowd and everybody what she can be. And you know, she's a fan favorite. They love her, and they love the excitement that comes with her and what she can bring to this team. It's something different. She's one of a kind, or very few in women's basketball, so it's exciting that she's on our team.
But Nancy is more than just what she brings to the basketball court. She is also a great teammate.
I think Nancy is going to cheer a lot more for her teammates than she is herself. But I think she's a very smart player, and you know, she'll continue building that confidence and you know, getting excited for plays on her own. But you know, that's what makes her special too, is she would rather cheer for her teammates than, you know, get hype about herself.
It's been very fun just getting to finally play for a team that you want to play for and contribute to and help to win a national championship. So to just experience these moments, or finally experience these moments, means a lot.
Through its first 2 games of the regular season, OU already has the same amount of blocks that they had through the first 10 games of last season, and Nancy has contributed considerably to that. She's on her way to being one of OU's best blockers in history. We'll see just how far her shot blocking can take her. Blakely Durham, Sooner Sports Pad.
Thank you, Blakely. And now we get to spend some time with the superwoman who makes it all happen for women's basketball. Give it up for Sherri Coale.
Thank you for joining us tonight.
Yeah, thank you so much for being here. First and foremost, I wanted to ask you, you were inducted into the Women's Basketball Hall of Fame. How did that feel? That's a huge accomplishment.
It was surreal. I still feel like I'm a little bit too young to be in any kind of Hall of Fame. Doesn't mean that I'm quitting anytime soon. No, just the people who are in that group, to be welcomed into that environment and to be given admittance into that very special family was a tremendous honor.
When you were brought in and hired, did you envision that you would be here this long and have this kind of success that you have had?
You know, I don't even recall anything that I've ever done in my life that I didn't think I would be successful at. I just have always felt that if I poured myself into it, good things could happen. I never put a time limit on this or wondered how long I would be here. I was just concerned about one season at a time.
All right, well, Courtney has an audience question for you.
Barry and I are back again, and Barry has a question for you, Coach Coale.
Okay.
With all the big wins you've had, is there just one that sticks out as your favorite win at OU?
You know, these favorite questions get me every time. I have 2 children, and neither of them are my favorite. They're both my favorite. I have a team every season, and they're all my favorites, and all the players are my favorites. The best way I can answer that, though, is the first time that we went to the Final Four. The greatest moment is always the moment at which you know you're going. And we were in Boise, Idaho, and we knew we were going, and it was remarkable. There were about 12 minutes left in the second half. We were that far ahead, and I thought, you know what, we're going to the Final Four. I'll never forget that moment.
Oh, that's great. That's fantastic.
All right, well, it's time for another break, but when we come back, we'll have more Sherri Coale. Stay with us. Welcome back. We're here again with Coach Coale. We're just going to kind of jump right in. During your time as an OU coach, where's the favorite place you've gotten to travel?
That's a tough question because I've had an opportunity to travel to a lot of places, but we took our team to Greece a few years ago, and we're able to take a cruise out into the ocean and go to the island of Idra, and so that's probably my favorite.
Oh, that's awesome.
Rightfully so.
Yeah, I know. Tough gig, huh? Somebody's got to do it.
Well, I wanted to know if you could have dinner with any basketball player, former or current, who would it be?
Probably Magic Johnson.
Okay.
I'm a huge Magic Johnson fan, and just have a lot of admiration for him and the way he's conducted himself, the way he's handled life after basketball, and he was such a magnetic player. Loved his game.
Okay, quickly, what's your favorite Thanksgiving meal with Thanksgiving coming up on Thursday?
Bread.
Bread. Any kind of bread?
Bread.
I agree.
Roll
I'm with
spread,
you 100% on that.
anything.
Yeah.
Hey, I agree. I love bread
That's a good
too.
one.
So. All right. Well, unfortunately, that is all the time we have left for today. Thank you for joining us on our last episode of this season. Make sure to like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram and Twitter @SoonerSportsPad. We'll be back again after the holidays. See ya!